Gotcha.
But they actually do. They will mimic rattlesnakes. They will
Really?
rattle leaves and stuff to make you think that they're rattlesnakes. It's kind of wild.
Like the timber
Wow.
rattles here. Like so, yeah. So we're live here tonight, this evening, watching the West Michigan Whitecaps against the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. Welcome to Tigers SRD here on Motor City Bengals and of course at sportsradiodetroit.com. I'm your Haley Stelling's name is Chris Brown and Youper there at the bottom of the screen. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartMedia, and Stitcher. And now that we have the technology to watch minor league baseball while we do the podcast, might as well take advantage of it. And so, Gibo Garcia on the batting here for the Brewers minor league affiliate, and Bill Brasky. Bill Brasky, is that how you say it? Bill Brasky.
Bo Brisky.
Bill Brisky to Bill Brasky. Sorry, that's
You know,
not saying it right.
You know, what's funny is I don't know who brought that up recently, the Bill Brasky thing, but maybe it was Jake or something. I don't remember ever seeing that. Maybe it was you.
It was. I think it was. I thought maybe it was Chip. I thought maybe it was Chip. It said something. Maybe it's Chip. I feel like it was. He was the genesis of the conversation.
So I ended up looking it up and seeing them. Yeah, just a bunch of red-faced guys drinking,
telling their war stories.
Yeah, that's one of my best. That's an underrated SNL skit. So, but yeah, it's a power surge festival across the minor league affiliates. As Chris has been busy editing videos this evening, so thank you for doing that, Chris. I much appreciated. I was getting everything ready.
I feel bad. I was slow on a bunch of them. Other people beat us. MLB Pipeline beat us to Riley Green's first home run, and that's not acceptable to me.
Oh, that's not acceptable. Because MLB Pipeline usually takes about an hour to post things anyways. So we had somebody request like, "Hey, where's the Riley Green stuff?" So people have expectations, and I'm glad. Look, I'm glad actually. So it makes me happy to have that. But if you want to have any questions for us tonight, so just let us know. We have. Do we get any questions, Chris? Or
I don't think we did. I can send out the call again.
Send out the bat signal.
Yeah, the baseball bat signal. Let me see. All right. Yeah, no, it was funny. I didn't realize. Yeah, I thought maybe earlier today we caught a baby rattlesnake in our pool right here as we're watching the Timber Rattlers, but just a faker snaker.
Yeah, there's nothing. I saw that earlier, and I thought it was kind of like, oh man, I'm gonna go swimming over there. It's gonna be a snake. So. We're in the kind of the woods, and we get a variety of wildlife in the pool. This year was the first time we found a floating bird. A bird had committed birdicide. It was just floating in the pool, and the dog was barking at it like crazy. But the strangest one is every time we get a big rainstorm, we get crayfish popping in the pool. Yeah,
wow.
And I don't know where. There's a stream like 60 feet behind the back of the pool area.
Yeah.
But I don't know where, the crayfish just like, oh, man, all right, let's go take a dip.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean.
You have a crawfish boil?
No. I did go to IKEA for one of those not too long ago, and it was not, it's not my thing. I'm not a big fan of.
IKEA?
Yeah, well, that the Scandinavians, they like the fish type substance. And
I didn't expect that at all. So people like we had people watching, and now they're tuning out. They're like, "What are you guys talking about? You guys are not talking about baseball. I want baseball right now."
Sorry,
baseball. No, it's all right. But no, you're getting the pool set up, and that's important. And so right now we're watching West Michigan, and we're gonna be talking Spencer Torkelson. We are gonna be talking Spencer Torkelson because he's gonna be on the screen. Spencer Turnbull, the no-hitter, the Tigers sweeping Seattle, and just this crazy game. And baseball is suddenly one of those things, guys, that 2 weeks ago, I wasn't here last week, but even last week, it just seemed like the Tigers were in a strange place. Apparently that bird's fascinating for the broadcast.
Yeah. It's a heron or some sort.
Yeah. But here a couple weeks ago, we were in a situation where the Tigers are playing bad baseball, bad stretch. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they go in, they beat Kansas City. Then they go to Seattle, where they haven't won a swept series since 2006. And traditionally speaking, they don't do good on the West Coast. And went out there, and they're 8-2 in the last 10 games. They have played a better brand of baseball of just solid starting pitching and things that you guys have both spoken about that was going to come into fruition. We knew the starting pitching was there. The offense was still a little questionable, but they've been getting some timely hitting from guys like Eric Haas and Harold Castro, because that's exactly what we were expecting. And so, but I'll start with you, Uper, in terms of what you've seen in the last 10 games. I know defensively, we talked a few weeks ago how the defensive cues were just horrible, but it just seems like, again, it's a lot better brand of baseball, including last night, or excluding the no-hitter that played from Candelaria, which was one of the best plays I've ever seen him make.
Yep. Well, definitely they have tightened up the defense a little. And that was key, because it just helps all those young starters tremendously. And, some of the base running gaps that we saw, those have been gone for a week or 10 days now. And it's hard to quantify timely hitting, except it when you see it. And they've been getting it. They're still hitting a lot of singles. They got a couple of homers from Haas and I think Scope. But otherwise, it's still kind of the quiet little attack. They get their one rally where they score one crooked number, and they've been able to make that hold up for about a week here. So it has been a lot of fun. I mean, to watch Mize, Turnbull, and Skubal, pitch pretty well, lead them to that sweep, and then have the throw that no-hitter mixed in. For a team that's in fourth place, you can't ask for a whole lot more.
Yeah, well, you, Chris.
Yeah, it's been fun. This is a little bit more like what I expected from the team this year, to play this kind of. I think when we go back to, like, if you look at our projections or whatever, I thought that there would be a 500 team heading into June, and then eventually kind of wear down as injuries and the lack of depth got them. And so they've been playing 500, slightly better than 500 baseball this last couple of weeks. I think they're probably above. They might have a plus run differential in May. I haven't checked for sure, but it's pretty close to even, I would think. And yeah, and then what's funny is they're kind of doing this without a very good bullpen. The bullpen hasn't gotten any better for the most part. Finding Fulmer has been a big thing for AJ Hinch, but really beyond that everybody's kind of struggled a bit. So yeah, it's been enjoyable. Nico Goodrum is having a good month, and that's nice to see. He's kind of taken over as the everyday shortstop. And I liked your idea, Raj, about maybe getting Haas more playing time at first base and moving Scope back to second where he's natural. Just letting these guys play where they belong, basically. Instead of fooling around.
By the way, the run differential right now is 79 to 78 for the month.
Hey, there you go. That's a 500 team.
Yeah. So it's I was looking at the fact that here they are. With the reason why with Haas too is that we saw him at the alt site, Chris. I didn't think he played a bad left field either. It wasn't. I mean, it was serviceable.
No, he's more athletic than your average catcher. I think he's not. We're not talking Dylan Dingler level athleticism here, but he can move. He's not a big hulking backstop by any means. He's got a little twitch to him. So yeah, I think that's serviceable there, and and we'll see how long he can stay up. Hopefully for a while.
I mean, and probably what's going to help him is the fact that he caught back-to-back really good games. He caught Derek Skubal's best start, 5 innings, 9 strikeouts. He caught a no-hitter. I mean, but also catching-wise, too, the Knack Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, he wasn't known for his catching prowess, wasn't he? I mean, he's known more for his arm.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been viewed as like this great defensive catcher. It was always kind of like, hey, this guy's got some raw power. He's going to strike out a lot, but he'll walk a little bit, and he can catch. It's I don't know if he was like, if you compare him to, say, John Hicks. I don't know if it's the same sort of profile, but you do see that he is a better athlete than John Hicks was.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
I do like the idea of 4 catchers. Bring up Dustin Garneau. I want it'd be amazing to have 8 catchers in the field in one game.
Set the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, just throw them out there. That's a good. Kyle's awesome. Let's just throw out there for that. But yeah, there's definitely, especially with Jake Rogers too. The one thing about Jake Rogers, and I thought that he should have made I thought his chances to making the team in spring training were good. I thought his chances to make the team was good. and he didn't hit enough. But I thought defensively he showed enough. And we saw him on the outside, had a couple hits, went up through the middle, and there was a couple at bats where he just kind of looked overmatched, just like Brian Packer did, just there.
Yeah, that lefty, it's good in the minors to get yourself a low slot lefty like this to really mess with you. It's good practice for them.
Yeah, and but again, I mean, he has looked. Rogers has played the part, but I mean, again, let's start with the no hitter. I mean, that's obviously one of those things that as it was happening. So, and here's that's a good question. I honestly I would want him to be sick behind the plate, gentlemen, but that's just me.
Yeah, I would too. I think it could be a situation where, I mean, today he's the DH, I believe, for West Michigan, and I could see a situation in the future where maybe he's getting some time in the outfield too, just to keep his bat in the lineup. But I think, I don't know, we don't want to go crazy. Like he's got a chance to be a solid average hitter with decent 15, 20 home run power. But he's not like, this isn't Buster Posey level offense, I don't think. So I think much of his value will be the fact that he can provide that offense while playing catcher. But who knows?
I would tend to agree there. I would definitely tend to agree. You brought up Buster Posey. I was going to say Bryce Harper, right? You don't want him to catch. You got to get him out from behind there. But I think with Dingler, obviously how much he hits will dictate what happens. And certainly if he hits his way to making a decision, that'd be great. I mean, who would argue? But I think having an athletic catcher who can hit, I mean, that's a highly valuable asset. So they should definitely cultivate that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the platonic ideal of the athletic catcher is JT Realmuto, who doesn't, like, if he's playing outfield, I'm just looking at see what his he tends to hit, I think, about 15, 25 home runs a year and hit 280 or so. I'm checking right now just to make sure. Let's see. Sorry for this. So yeah, he's 17 home runs, 21 home runs, 25 while hitting 270 basically every year. 278, 277, 275. Yeah, that's what makes that super valuable is that he's a catcher hitting 20 home runs and hitting 280. If he's an outfielder, it still helps, but it's not as good. You know what I mean? It's like it's Nick Castellanos rather than Dylan Dingler. So
they're also he's not a net minus on the bases running. I mean, there's a lot of things like that, as a catcher.
Yeah, unfortunately, like as we said, he's not a catcher in this game, so we get to watch Eliezer Alfonso, I think. Unless is that Valencia that they brought up, or is it Alfonso?
I can't tell right now at the moment.
Yeah. We talked about Eliezer Alfonso is a catcher mostly in name only.
Yeah, I mean, what was it, Sunday? Yeah, Sunday I saw him make 5 wild throws on the outfield. So, but I mean, it is what it is. But in terms of getting to the no hitter, though, it's one of those things where we were all watching a game, and I was at my brother's house, and normally my brother and I we're just BSing what have you, and I had the game on my phone, and it was around, I think it was on 9. Yeah.
It's on right now. That's up.
Yeah. We can flip to that game if we wanted to right now.
Against Lopez Alvarez? Lopez. First name Lopez. I like it. You're a lazy man, Lopez.
So, yeah, I was like, we're texting each other, and he hit a triple. There you go. But I don't know. It was about 11, Chris, when we texted each other, and I didn't think anything. I don't know. I didn't think anything of it, but
yeah. No, I don't think I didn't notice that he was throwing a no-hitter until like the 6th inning when I saw it on the screen. I'm like, oh wow! And then we texted each other because we're trying to figure out what to do for MCB.
Yeah,
and very graciously accepted. You said you'd do it tonight, and it's true. You're just a much faster writer than I am. I for whatever reason I can't do anything that clocks in under like 1,200 words. I have to Spencer Turnbull throws a no-hitter, and I have to talk about him coming up through Alabama, and then you did another piece too, so it was great. But yeah, that was when I really started to notice, and it's just been a while since I remember being so locked in on a pitcher's performance. I think we were discussing when's the last time a Tigers pitcher had a no-hitter this late in the game, And I think we thought it was Boyd against the White Sox a couple of years ago.
Well, he was 1 out away once, right?
Yeah.
2 years ago?
You know, I gotta give credit though. Here's the thing. We'll get to the aftermath here. Scott Bentley called it. He called it 2 weeks ago. He said that the next no hitter will be. I'll tell you, it will be Spencer Turnbull. He said it 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw the video. Yeah, and he said it 2 weeks ago, and he was on about the no hitter. So it was good to see that. But even like I said, I'm always cynical by nature. I hate that sometimes about myself, but Seattle, the Tigers always have a bad vibe in Seattle. This is the same. My first ever no hitter I watched was Randy Johnson striking out Mike Heath in 1990 as a kid. I watched that. I stayed up, watched that game, and yeah, it was like, oh, and Mike Heath's face afterwards, he's just like, he tosses bat like, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Soft serve, man.
You know, Victor Reyes is so that's the thing. He's been playing well down in Toledo overall. I mean, like that's kind of what we expect, but it's like you feel like if Victor Reyes gets regular at bats, he can produce. It's just it's not exactly what the Tigers are looking for right now. But I like nobody asked it, but I mean, I think Victor Reyes might at this point be an upgrade over Jacoby Jones. Jones really. I mean, he did rob a home run last night, or at least a deep fly ball. So he's still playing solid defense, but he's just not doing anything on offense.
Yeah, it's been struggling too. That change, that Brisky change was nice. That was a good call there.
Yeah, that's what. Who was it? Yeah, you and Jake and Chip all picked up on that. Well, when we were out there, Brisky was pitching the first game that I went to, and I was taking care of stopwatch duties, which was like, Chris, you clean up. Like it was like the easiest possible thing, so I didn't have to zero in on anything. But yeah, you guys were like, that's an interesting changeup. So,
no, nevertheless, but the biggest thing I remember it was in the eighth inning. I was like I said, I literally drove. My brother lives about 10, 15 minutes away from my house, and I drove with the game on. I was driving like 55, 60 miles an hour back, and because I was just like, I had to type up the story, and then I got coffee creamer. Brewed a cup of coffee or pot of coffee, got the coffee going, wrote that up, and then I'm listening to the game. I had a screen recording because I wanted to get Dickerson audio, sync up with the video because it was gonna be a while before they did that. And credit due, the Tigers actually put the audio. I was all 14 seconds of it, but they did it. And so the next day in a 1-2-3 inning there, as the Whitecaps are up 3-1, heading into the top of the sixth.
Would you say that's a brisk inning for Bo Brisky?
Yeah!
Oh, there you go.
Oh, boy.
That's for Jake. No, I was just gonna. I don't remember Jack Morris's no hitter. Obviously, we were like 3 years old or 2 years old.
Not me.
You remember? Yeah. Well, so that's the thing. I remember.
I watched every pitch of that game.
Nice, because I was just gonna say I remember. I think 7 or 8 individual pitching performances like this now. I remember Verlander's 2006 or 2007 no-hitter against the Brewers. I'd actually come home and fallen asleep, and I kind of woke up I had the game on, and I woke up in like the 7th inning with like, Mario getting super excited. And then I remember the 2011 no-hitter for Verlander, but I also remember Anibal Sanchez's like 17 strikeout game, I think it was. I remember where I was for that. I remember where I was for Verlander's near no-hitter against the Pirates. With the Josh Harrison broke up, I think, with 1 out in the 9th.
I was on an airplane.
I remember, so it's funny. Like, I don't know if you guys, that's just what I was getting at. It's like, do you guys remember where you were with a bunch of these iconic games? I remember where I was with Armando Galarraga.
Definitely.
Pork.
Yeah.
I remember waking up on a Saturday morning and seeing the highlights of Milt Wilcox being 1 out away from a complete game. And that's
it was a perfect game, right?
Yeah, perfect game. I was listening to that on the radio that night. Obviously, Morris's no-hitter was really special at that time because it was still the game of the weekdays. I mean, you weren't inundated with baseball. You had, your one shot at a national game. and the Tigers were rarely on it, even in '84. So to see him pitch a no-hitter was unbelievable. And you just, as you go through it, I mean, Galarraga, my wife and I were heading to a doctor. We thought we were going to have our second baby that night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It turned out he came about a couple of weeks later, but
named Jim Joyce.
Yeah, exactly. Could have named him Jim Joyce, but yeah. So those things stick out, Verlander against the Pittsburgh game with Josh Harrison. I was getting off an airplane in Chicago, and I heard that single, and I couldn't believe it. I wanted to throw my phone. So,
yeah. Well, I was with my now wife. I was at her apartment. We were dating for the Galarraga imperfect game, and I remember how ill I felt after that happened. Like, and I've come around to it now where I still think, like, you know what? I think it's more famous and it's better that it happened, I guess, that he didn't get the perfect game.
Yeah.
I think it's more memorable that way. It's not necessarily better for him or anything like that, but because, I talk about like the Phil Humber threw a perfect game, I think, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan. The other big one I remember, it was one of the more enjoyable games of recent memory, was I guess we now think of it as the Jared Weaver game. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good call there.
Well, I don't know if this is the one that he's talking about, but that's the one where, Maglu hit the home run and Weaver got upset, and then Guillen really pimped that home run, and then he threw it Avila. But meanwhile, Verlander had a no-hitter going into the 7th, I think, and then Ibar bunt, and Verlander scrambled threw the error or threw the ball away. They gave him an error, and then there was a hit after that. And it was just
that against Chicago. Yeah, that was against the White Sox. I remember that.
And I feel like it was like the second to last game of the season, the Matt Boyd one, and I was actually out in the pool listening to it. I didn't see a second of that game, but I was listening to it. So
I was actually umpiring a fall ball game during that Boyd one, and and this is a breach of what you're supposed to do, but I was peeking looks on my phone between innings to see if he was going to pull that off. And the other no-hitter I remember is the close one, is the combined no-hitter in the 2013 playoffs with the Red Sox. I mean, they almost had that.
Was that when Anibal Sanchez started?
Yeah, he went 6 innings and he threw like 140 pitches, but so they had to take him out.
Oh, Dan! Oh, Danny boy, the Danny boys.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I could put Dan's audio underneath us if I wanted to, but then it'd be really hard to edit out later. But just know that Dan Hasty, forever now. Dan, let me just tell you this. Your video of the no-hitter was one of my favorite things I've seen in a long time, A. And B, from now on, any highlights we use, I'm just going to go and I know how to get your audio. I'm just going to send it to Chris and go, here. And then just put it in, give it to Chris and do that. So,
yeah, and that's just, living in Tiger's Twitter as much as we do.
Oh, yeah. No, he's right about the double. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was another, was that 8 2/3? I thought that was the first batter in the 9th.
Is that the one where he touched the chalk and like went?
I think so.
Yeah.
That was 2017. It was Verlander's like, hey, he's back.
Yeah.
It felt like when he was. I think it was 2017. Maybe I'm incorrect there.
That sounds right. Yep.
No, just thinking about Tiger's Twitter. Having a moment like that, a no hitter, is very cool. It's kind of one of those moments where you feel like the collective joy. It's when like something like Twitter is good rather than pure evil most of the time. It's like the video that Dan posted of him like celebrating while being quiet. That was super fun. Chris Castellani's video of getting super excited. It gets him a job. I don't know if that. I'm curious if that was actually in the works beforehand or not. But either way, super cool for him.
Right.
And yeah, it's just a fun. And who was it? World of Isaac, I think, was pointing out like, hey, this is the inflection point or whatever. This is when Detroit sports starts getting good again. Something like that. I was like, yeah, I get it. It feels better. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the moments. Go ahead, Hubert. I'm sorry.
The moment in that game, that last. I'll always remember it because he did not look good early in the 9th inning. You wondered how many they were going to let him. I was wondering how many are they going to let him walk before they take him out, because he looked tentative. And then once he got Kellenick and Haniger stepped in, who had just smoked that ball 2 innings prior, I was so amazed that all of a sudden Turnbull cuts loose the country hardball. You know, it's like pitch sequencing went out the door. Nothing. They weren't. He was just, I'm going to rear back and I'm going to fire this thing past you. And he dusted him in 3 pitches, and that was really a kind of a goose pimple way to end it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was very cool. It's remembering the way that that's another thing. Remembering the way these no hitters end. I mean, Jack Morris got a strikeout, right?
Yeah, Ron Kittle. Mm-hmm.
And Verlander's he struck out Rajai Davis in the second one. I think it was only like his 4th strikeout of the game, and then the first one was that J.J. Hardy deep fly ball to right field that went a lot farther than it's like, oh man, that almost got out. So,
yep.
Yeah, gonna remember Mitch Haniger. I mean, basically Seattle's best hitter. To get him at the end, that's he earned it. I mean, Seattle isn't a great offensive team by any means, but it's tough to. Have you ever called a no hitter?
No, I'm not. No.
Interesting.
I don't even recall when I was really close where there was a buzz in the park.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is then the next day, Corey Kluber goes out and throws a no-hitter. It's the first no-hitter in 22 years, which blew my mind. And I realized the last one I saw was David Cohn, and he struck out 9. Had a single walk, and I think it was like his it was really interesting to see his cutter, sinker, and curveball were about 75 or almost 70% of what he was throwing that night. And so, yeah, I mean, I know that there's something going on with the ball and all that, but either way, the Spencer Turnbull no-hitter was one of those moments that this was the first time it was kind of a social media moment for me where I actually could follow along and have, like, 2011. I don't think it was barely using Twitter. I don't think so.
Yeah, I was on Twitter, I think, but no, I don't think I think I got on Twitter late in 2011. I remember being on Twitter for the Rangers ALCS. Matthew Lillard, born in Brighton, Michigan. There you go.
Really?
There's your fast fact of the day.
You know, it's interesting. The 6 no-hitters.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Hubert.
Yeah, the 6 no-hitters are spread between only 3 teams, victims.
Yeah.
They're Mariners, Indians, and
Rangers, right?
Rangers. Yeah. The Mariners are hitting 198 as a team.
I mean that's basically where the Tigers were not that long ago. But Tigers have gone on this 2 weeks of hitting. I think their BABIP over the last 2 weeks is like 350. They're not hitting for much power, but no, that comment about Parker Meadows, it's we talked about it. Parker Meadows, he looks like a ball player, and then you see him swing, and he never makes any hard contact with the ball, and it sucks.
He's the quintessential guy. He looks good getting off the bus, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I mentioned the other day, it seems like every time he puts the ball in the play, it's either a weak ground ball to second base or a weak fly ball to left field. Maybe he'll do something here, or maybe he'll strike out. This is that tough lefty. That's a strike right down the middle. Yes.
Ooh, see there. And they got him. Let's go throw there.
Was that a 4-out inning, or did it even matter?
It mattered. I know. I was kind of about to get the our first segment, which is a. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, but yeah, I lost my train of thought. There you go.
Were we going to start doing our segments? Do the inside the numbers? Or?
Yeah, and all of a sudden, because I got distracted by watching television, which is nothing new, there we go. So
it's time for Rogelio and Chris to go inside the numbers.
All right, gentlemen, what is your inside the number?
Well, I'll go first. Mine is 2,860. That is the career number of strikeouts for Max Scherzer. He just got there. He passed former Tiger Jim Bunning. And the cool part is he is breathing down the neck of former Tiger Justin Verlander. So it just got me thinking quite a bit. Well, first off, there's this little weird cluster between number 17 and number 24 on the all-time strikeout list of Tigers. if you want to count John Smoltz, if only because he gives us the Smoltz for Alexander debate endlessly.
Oh, God,
he's at 7.
that.
He's at 17. Verlander's at 18. Scherzer's at 19. Bunning is at 20. Mickey Lolich is at 21. And then Frank Tanana's at number 24. So that's just a bizarre little. And there's no other Tigers on the list above them or below them for quite a long way. So there's just that weird little cluster of Tigers. And it just got me to thinking, Scherzer, if you take that decade from 2006 to 2016 when the Tigers were competitive, and as a fan, I was a Scherzer guy. I really was. So to see him climbing this list, I love watching. I still watch him pitch as much as I can. When do you believe the next time, put it this way, in my lifetime, I'm older than you guys, will we see another pitching staff with 2 Hall of Famers on it in Detroit with Verlander and Scherzer? And you could throw Cabrera in there and say with 3 on the team if you want. When you think about it, that's really amazing that we were able to watch that for several years.
No, I would never say never on that, but it certainly doesn't seem like the sort of thing that happens every decade or even every generation. Like it's, even going back to the 60s Tigers, they didn't have 2 Hall of Famers. They had Mickey Lolich, you could argue, maybe, and Denny McClain maybe had Hall of Fame talent, but neither of them made it, right?
Right.
So
Lolich put up some amazing numbers. The 373 strikeout season, and I think it's 72 or 71. I wish Sebastian was here because we would confirm that. But the only time the Tigers have really had a true dominant one. You can argue too about Dan Petrie and Jack Morris in '84, but it wasn't like in terms of like strikeouts and dominance. You're never gonna see. I think you're right. We're never gonna see anything like that from a rotation like that ever again. Even when Animal Sanchez was right too, like that rotation was probably one of the best rotations that's the best rotation I've ever seen Tigers, period. So
I was looking. I don't remember who might have been on the team back with when Hal Newhouser was pitching, but
I think maybe Bobo Newsom. No, that's not. That's the 30s. I was thinking. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, yeah. I just don't know what other. That's my Tigers knowledge dies pretty quickly before 1980 or so. That's. The 2013 staff is probably the best Tigers pitching staff I'll ever see in my lifetime. And that's, and then they go and get, so you have Anibal Sanchez, I think, won the ERA title that year. You got Verlander, who's got multiple Cy Young awards. Scherzer's got multiple Cy Young awards. Rick Porcello won a Cy Young.
Yep.
And then Fister set the American League record with 9 consecutive strikeouts, and then they bring in David Price, who has a Cy Young. It was an incredible run of starting pitching there for a few years, and just couldn't get it done, unfortunately.
Okay, Chris, what's your inside the number?
So I've got boys because I cheat. It's 95.3 and 95.2. You could probably guess what those are, but it's those are exit velocities. And to be more specific, they are the 2 highest average exit velocities for Major League Baseball pitchers with at least 40 batted balls this year. And the 95.3 belongs to Alex Lang, and the 95.2 belongs to Daniel Norris. So, unfortunately, nothing seems to be working for Alex Lang, but the fastball is the main issue. The average exit velocity on that is 97.3, whereas his breaking ball is only 92. And remember, anything over 95 is kind of a disaster. But for Norris, it's even worse. His average exit velocity on his fastball is 98.4 miles per hour. And it's a real bummer for him because he has one of the best changeups in baseball. And I was looking at the numbers. It ranks 3rd in terms of movement, vertical movement above average, 8.8 inches above average for a changeup like his in that velocity band, which is 3rd behind Devin Williams and his, the airbender that everybody talks about. It's basically just a fork ball or screwball, I think. And then Trevor Cahill. But, unfortunately, Norris can't throw the changeup every time, I don't think. It's the old, why don't make the plane out of the black box? Why don't you just make the whole, why don't you just throw nothing but changeups? See if that works. But I think we saw Francisco Rodriguez try that, and we know that it doesn't work.
Well, it's kind of funny to me when you see. Well, I'm hearing myself on the mic. Oh, there it was. It was weird. I was hearing myself in the feedback, so that's why I had to stop talking there for a second. But
it's really weird, man.
That's really weird. No, I was going to say something along the lines of when the Tigers, the whole Seattle series, the bullpen wasn't a factor at all, and that was strange to see. And it was kind of good to see the starting pitcher just step up and do its thing. So today, there's a game that happened today that was my incentive number is one that is 100 through 100.3, 100.1, and 100.1. And those three were the top pitching velocities of the one Camilo Duvall, a Giants reliever who was just called up. He was out there today. Doesn't really have a lot of he was in high A. He debuted last month, and he was in there because the Giants won 19-4 over the Reds today. And it's funny to me. It's just the reason why the Giants right now are clicking on all cylinders. They have the best record. I believe they have the best record in baseball right now. I believe, and it's just guys like Steven Dugar. Who the hell is that? He had the top distance. He had the top distance out there, 427 feet. And Alex Dickerson. It's just like these names. They're not household names, but the Giants are getting it done. And then you go get Johnny Cueto going out there having 13 swings and misses today. And you get a vintage Johnny Cueto performance against his former team. And I don't know. It's just like those kind of numbers you're looking at. And it's against guys you're like, who are these guys? And if you're not following and paying attention to the Giants, I mean, you would not know it as a casual Giants fan. It's not even just, casually paying attention to the Giants. But it's just they go out today and just hammer the Reds to the tune of scored 19 runs on 16 hits. And they had a 33% hard hit contact. So,
yeah. Darren Ruff with a grand slam. People might remember him as when he's coming up with the Phillies. They're calling him Babe Ruth or Babe Ruff or whatever his name. He's 34 now. Yeah, and he's got like a 950 OPS. What is it? Let me look. 944 OPS. Yeah, that we may talk about the Giants a little bit more in just a second. I will say that.
All right. Well, so I mean, great minds think alike, and it's just. I don't know. To me, you look at the West and the NL West as a whole. It was just a foregone conclusion. It was going to be the Padres and Dodgers, and rightfully so. I mean, both teams are pretty stacked well. But at the back of your mind, you had to think like San Francisco is going to come out and do things because they're just the way they team build. It's impressive.
I didn't see this coming, but yeah, I mean, you got Farhan Zaidi is
not the best record, but being competitive.
Yeah.
I think.
No, and they showed it last year that they have done a lot more roster churning than the Tigers have during their rebuild, and as a result, they found some guys. I don't know how Yastrzemski's doing this year, but he was really good last year, and it just it's not necessarily
he's off to a slow start right now.
And
I think churning is the right word. They never stop looking to improve, even marginally. Every little marginal improvement is worth something. And the Tigers don't do that. They sign the catcher that can't catch, and they get another guy cheap, and they're done. It's kind of a static approach, and you can see the difference between the two teams.
Oh, nice play there. So I thought it was going to drop there for a second.
Corey Joyce?
I think it's Corey Joyce at shortstop, I believe. By the way, Alfonso is behind the plate this evening.
Yeah.
So he has Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah, only one hit for the Timber Rattlers. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the Whitecaps are dealing this evening.
Yeah.
So that was our inside numbers for this week, and it's time. And I wish I always had this queued up, and I never do. Here we go.
The good.
Oh, that's good.
The bad.
Oh, that's bad.
And the ugly.
There's a lot of good and bad ugly this week. And I say that every week, but this week, if you're listening, if you're in the South Side of Chicago right now, it is one of the Tony La Russa. I want to do a whole segment about Tony La Russa, but look, the Tigers have had a really good week. But I'm going to just say this before we get to the good and the bad, the ugly. Right now, the White Sox, no doubt, have more talent than the Tigers do. No doubt. You can't doubt it. But I feel that of course, the White Sox may just, win despite La Russa. But, man, I mean, can you imagine? I feel better with AJ Hinch because it feels like They like their manager. They get along. Everybody gets along, and the team is getting along great in Chicago. But they're just looking at Tony La Russa, and they're just like, "What? Where are you here? Or, I mean, like, hello? I mean, it's just."
He basically thanked the Twins for throwing out his guy.
Yeah. What
Think about that.
What a dick.
Hey, you threw out my guy.
Yeah, let's do the things the right way. Get out of here. You know, by the way, the CC Sabathia audio, if you got a chance to listen to it, he did an interview. It was awesome. He called him out. He was saying he's out of touch. He even said he called out Chris Russo, and I was like, yes.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. You know, it's always
get the Russo.
Gage, this is the garbage you give me. That to me. Say that to anybody. Say it to somebody. Take a guess.
Yeah.
Oh.
No,
what are you nuts? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's very weird. It's the kind of enjoyable for us is a little bit of a Schadenfreude thing, but yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand in any capacity. There are times when I get it where you're not supposed to swing 3-0, and I actually believe that. Like if you're up like 16-4 and they've got an actual pitcher on the mound in the ninth inning, don't swing 3-0. But if it's a position player throwing
balloons,
yeah, like there's no integrity of the game. You're not hurting the guy's feelings because he's not a pitcher. Like that's the thing. Like it's not poor sportsmanship. You go up there. I mean, what is the Tigers? I thought they hit a home run. They had a game last year where they were, Grayson Greiner hit a home run off a position player in the ninth inning or seventh inning against the Brewers, I thought. And that was a giant blowout, and nobody cared because, you if you get a chance to hit a home run, you try. I don't get it, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and then he got suspended. The pitcher got suspended, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who hit Mercedes the next day, and you know what? Good. It's just stupid. These stupid rules. It just makes no sense. The Twins are. I mean, the Twins are in a free fall right now, and so, why are you getting? I don't understand it. There's no. Here's the thing: be better than that. Win. Be the White Sox, and then just shut up. It's professional sports.
I realized it was a blowout, and you want to compete and win the next day. But the Twins had 5 relievers in their bullpen that they could have went to for that inning instead of their backup catcher throwing 48 miles an hour. So to think that the game was at all serious at that point is just ludicrous.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Twins bullpen is a dumpster fire, but yeah, they could have one of those guys coming out there and throwing it. So anyway, Chris, you're going to kick off for good and bad and ugly today.
All right. As I said, as we're watching, Torque, which could be all three, I mentioned that I was going to talk about the Giants, and my good is Kevin Gausman, a starter for the San Francisco Giants this year. You may recall he was a top 5 pick, I think 4th overall for the Orioles way back in like 2012. And he made it to the big leagues pretty quickly because those Oriole teams were competitive. And but then he was just kind of fine. He was never that sort of top of the rotation arm that they had hoped. He went to LSU. He threw hard, but he never found that breaking ball, it seemed like. And he just kind of was more of a number 4 starter. And then the Orioles traded him to the Braves, I believe, where he was really good for the Braves down the stretch. And then something strange happened in 2019. His strikeouts jumped by like 6%. He just was striking guys out like crazy, but he was bad enough overall that the Braves actually left him on unprotected, and the Reds claimed him on waivers. And so then eventually he ended up with the Giants last year. And ever since he's joined the Giants, he's been awesome. And he's one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. Right now he's 4-0 with a 1.66 ERA and 67-14 strikeout to walk ratio. And depending on what you look at, he's sitting at 1.8 FWAR and 2.5 BWAR, baseball reference WAR. Both of those are top 5 in all of baseball. And so he's kind of looking, they signed him, they gave him the qualifying offer. So he's making $18.9 million this year, but looks a little bit like a bargain right now. And I was thinking about there are a lot of free agent pitchers next year, kind of, big timers, but they're all like 37, 38. It's like Verlander, Scherzer, Greinke, all those guys. So I wouldn't be shocked if Gausman ends up getting the biggest deal, or at least the longest deal heading into next year if he keeps pitching like this. So that's my good. As we get a little dingler. Did he drop the dingler in there? No. He's been doing a lot of that lately. My bad is Jose Alvarado, the kind of flame-throwing lefty reliever, formerly of the Rays, now with the Phillies. People might remember seeing him in spring training a couple times this year. He's kind of like the mutant version of Gregory Soto. His fastball averages 99 miles an hour this year, and his slider averages 94 miles per hour. It's kind of ridiculous. And he was really good in April, but not so much in May.
Mhm.
And if you remember, the Phillies acquired him from the Rays, and it was a deal like where it seemed like nobody gave up much. And whenever that happens with the Rays, you got to raise your eyebrow. You go, I don't know. They're onto something here. Either they got some future stud, or they're just like, we got to get rid of this guy, but we still can. Because he's only 25. But yeah, so far in May, he's still getting strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings. He's got 8 strikeouts, but he's walked 9 people in 5 innings and allowed 5 earned runs. And it's just kind of the nightmare for the Phillies, who really worked hard to fix their bullpen after a historically bad relief corps last year. So it's been bad.
By the way, we do got a question
all right.
from Noel Conley on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Not to interrupt the segment too much. What are your guys' thoughts on Gage Workman?
Well, you saw Gage Workman, Raj. Why don't you tell me?
I thought Gage Workman, honestly, like outside that one defensive snafu I saw in Lakeland, I thought he hit the ball really well, showed really good speed for his size. Again, he had a really good approach at the plate. The first game, he looked a little rough, but then the second game, it seemed like he was just back in it a little bit. And I think Tucker fans, him playing, interesting enough, like they were talking about him playing third, but he played short each time we saw him in the 2 games in Lakeland. So I don't know, I'm encouraged about what I saw, and I think that he can make the adjustment to high pretty easily. So I don't know what the Tigers are going to be doing that going forward, but like I said, I think he'll be fine. I was encouraged by what I saw. It's one defensive type or thing, but his gun, I thought he had a really good arm on him too as well. So
yeah, he's kind of the rare tooled up college player. You don't often see guys with really interesting tools across the board come out of college. Like I think of someone like George Springer, who I don't remember what year it was, but and for him, Workman to last until the 4th round was kind of strange. But yeah, he's performing about what you would expect him to do. I mean, he's in low A, which is not necessarily the wrong assignment for him, but it's not terribly aggressive. But yeah, he's doing everything that you would want. Tonight he hit a screaming line drive to the opposite field off of a pretty good pitcher, the pitcher who was the number 1 overall pick in the Rule 5 draft this year. So he was a highly regarded arm out of the Angels system, and he's now with the Pirates. But yeah, he hits the ball hard. It sounded like he was hitting the ball really hard when you guys were down there. I think you got to see a double and a triple. Yeah,
double and triple. Yeah, and that double, or that was a triple. It's kind of a hustle triple, but it was still a very ball smoked.
And I think he stole his 5th base tonight. Maybe he did also make, I think, his 7th error. But this is a guy who I think has the physical tools to play shortstop. Of course, I thought the same about Willie Castro. But yeah, I mean, you watch, and he does have pretty good hands, and his arm works well. So it might just be a thing where he's just got to get more reps in pro ball at shortstop. But yeah, I mean, I think I wrote an article a couple months ago about like who the next top 100 prospects in the system could be, and Dylan Dingler was one of them, and Gage Workman was one of them, because I think that they have tools that can make them really legit prospects, but we just need to continue to see their production.
Go ahead and continue with your bad. I mean, I wasn't sure if you're done with Jose or not.
No, yeah, I'm done with my bad. Oh no, oh no. It's my ugly, and the ugly is continuing to unfold as we speak. This is kind of off the board. I don't think I've ever done this before, but my ugly is the Fredericksburg Nationals.
Oh, really?
Yes, that is the low A affiliate for the Washington Nationals. They are 0-14 to begin the season, and they're playing in the East Division down there, and they've got a run differential of -102.
Wow.
They've been outscored 140-38 this year. That's 37 more runs allowed than anyone else in the league. They started their season by losing 16-3 and then 19-3. They've also lost games 17-3, 14-3, and 13-2. All but 2 of their losses have been by at least 3 runs. But here's Here's the fun part. Here's the very fun part. I prepared all that before tonight, and I just checked tonight's score, and they are down 14-0 in the 8th inning.
They're a bad football team.
Yeah, so they're about to go 0-15 with a run differential of, what is it, 116, negative 116 through 15 games.
Wow. They need to get all the players herded into the showers and have the coach come in and throw bats on the floor.
Yeah, it may be one of the worst baseball teams of all time. We'll see.
We pass aside. I mean, come on, it's a bullshit. I don't play that game.
It seems like they're not playing that game either. Yes.
Wow.
But that was my ugly. Yeah, poor. The Nationals don't have a great system.
Wow, man, I've never heard of that before. That's terrible. Okay, Uper, what is your good this evening?
My good is definitely I want to throw some love at Harold Castro. I mean, as I mentioned earlier today online, he's the popular version of Vic Reyes now. A guy with no power and hitting a lot of singles, but he's been a nice little spark plug to the offense, and we're talking about this enjoyable week to 10 days that we've had, and a solid chunk of that is thanks to Harold Castro. So he's hitting 343. He's only slugging 357, but that's okay. We'll take those singles and knocking in a few runs, keeping some rallies alive. It's fun to watch. And he for what it's worth in the short season, in I think 22 games, he hit 340 last year as well. So the guy can definitely put bat on ball and make a few things happen. I don't know what his future is. I would hope probably for the Tigers' sake down the road, it's a limited future. If he's a backup. If he's a backup, though, who can hit like this, that's a nice player. So just ride out the storm here with Harold, and hope he keeps stroking those singles and having some fun. So that's good to me. He's fun to watch. The bad, I'll tell you what's going on that's driving me a little insane. I'm tired of the 7-inning games, the doubleheaders. And I know we discount pitcher wins now, but the fact that, they're managing these games for 7 innings and using their bullpen, and you still got to go 5 innings to get the win, it's just so antiquated. And, when baseball is trying some of these new things, new league, new rules in the minors and stuff like that, they need to do something about the pitcher win. If it's going to remain something that we have to pay attention to because they stick it in front of us all the time. And I think they should only need to go 4 for a 7-inning game to qualify for the win, or you just take all the qualifications for the win in terms of innings pitched for a starter and just let the official scorer designate one pitcher the winner. I would rather see that than this. Or they need to tell us they're not going to go 7 innings beyond this year. That rule's going to go away. And I don't know which of those is going to happen.
Yeah, did we talk about that before? I don't know if we did or not, but I feel like the idea, I don't know why there are any, special things that you need to accomplish to win when you can. I think we talked about it because you can be a reliever and win a game without ever throwing a pitch. I don't know why a starter can't do that too. Why do they have to go 5 innings? It doesn't make any sense to me. If we care about wins at all.
Right. And the thing is, I think they could make a change pretty well now because, pitchers, put it this way, offensive players, it's harder to make some say, "Hell, beat the shift and get your little punch singles" because you get paid for home runs. Pitchers aren't getting paid to rack up wins, pitcher wins. They're getting paid to pitch well. I mean, I think that's one place where analytics is getting pitchers paid on other things versus whether they're a 12-game winner or a 15-game winner. We don't care so much about that anymore. So now would be the time to change that rule, because you wouldn't get that pushback probably from the union because their guys aren't getting paid based off those wins anymore. So that's my bad. That's my little rant on that. They need to do something about the 7-inning doubleheader in general. So my ugly happened last night as I'm watching Scooble. It has nothing to do with the Tigers. I'm watching MLB Network, and I have the Tigers on my phone. First off, we played Russo a little while ago, which is just basically an ear assault every time I hear that guy. Okay.
Sorry, Uper.
Oh, it's unbelievable. but that's fine. The talent level on MLB Network is nauseating. And the guy on last night was that Greg Amsinger, and he's, perfectly vanilla, empty suit, So I'm not too worried about his opinion. But there were two plays last night as an umpire that drew my attention. There were two runners lane interference calls. And both of them led to ejections because there must be some kind of rule that if your team gets called for runners lane interference, you're going to blow a nut on the field. Okay. And that doesn't matter. It can be on the youth level where I am or the major league level. Someone's getting ejected if someone has the temerity to call runners lane interference. And there were two, especially the one of them in Arizona. The guy was obviously out of the runner's lane. It wasn't even close. I mean, it was the easiest call that umpire will have all month. And sure enough, Torey Lovallo comes out, and he's just, I think he must have wanted to get thrown out to help his team. It was brutal. It was silly. And then the one in the other game, is the Dodger game, it was a little closer. The foot was on the line. One foot was out in fair territory, and they called runners lane interference. And again, manager went nuts. So Davey Martinez of the Nationals went crazy. He was throwing the base around. They were comparing him to Lloyd McClendon, which was kind of funny. And so he got tossed. And that always happens. If you call that rule, you got an argument coming, even though it's a very black and white rule. But the thing that drove me nuts, the ugly part, was the lack of any credibility the crew at MLB Network had. I mean, Amsinger was just wrong about the rule, and that's fine. He's not a baseball guy. He's a talking head. But they had Sean Casey and Carlos Pena out on their little ball field in the studio trying to demonstrate to us what the rule is. And these guys, between them, probably have, 25 years of MLB experience, 20 for sure, had nothing right about the rule. Nothing.
Yeah.
Zero. They had no concept of what it's about. They were talking about, they weren't interfering with the throwing lane. The throwing lane has nothing to do with that rule. It's all about the first baseman's ability, whoever's covering first base, their ability to catch the ball. It has nothing to do with the throwing lane of the catcher or the pitcher. And the fact that the lane is actually there to protect the runner. People think, they're bailing out the defense. No, the lane is there. If you're the runner and you're in the lane like you're supposed to be, you are protected. You can, anything can happen. You're fine. So that the level of analysis that we get from MLB Network drives me insane. And last night was a golden presentation of how bad it could be when they were just so completely ignorant of the rules. And as an umpire, that offended me.
Very good. Yeah, I don't know if
This is
you're
going to be a
watching.
pain in the ass. Excuse my French, but I'm starting to get annoyed here.
I don't know if you
No.
watched. If you watched, there was a little umpiring going on in the minor league game while you were talking. I don't know if you were catching it, but
No, I missed it.
it was just a guy got thrown out, trying to steal second, and the field up
Overran, yeah. He over-
ruled that he slid over the bag or whatever. We couldn't really tell, but
Yeah. Okay.
So
I don't know that they're working a 3-man crew there, right?
no, I think it's 2-man in
Two
high A and low A, I believe, and then it goes to 3 and double A.
and 3 and double A. Okay. Yeah.
So-
A 2-man crew at that level with the speed and velocity, the velocity of the baseball and the speed of the players. All the credit to the guys doing that. Man, that's got to be hard.
What do we got? What do we got here? Oh no, checking.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
I always thought it would.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I always thought it would be easier to call balls and strikes if for the ump back in Little League when the ump was standing behind me as a pitcher, just watching me throw.
There's a national shortage of umpires everywhere around the country, and here in Iowa especially. And I actually had to call 3 games from behind the plate this year, and from behind the mound, excuse me. And because I was out there by myself, and it wasn't bad. I did not mind it. I was able to kind of communicate with the pitcher a little bit here and there about what I thought. And as long as the pitchers are reasonable and they're not making, not trying to show you up out there, that worked out pretty well. And I thought it was much easier to call pitches at the lower half of the strike zone. I'm a taller guy. I'm 6'6", and sometimes low pitches behind the plate. When I'm behind the plate, that's where I feel I struggle. So I thought from back behind the mound, it was pretty good calling pitches. I didn't mind it at all. I don't know if I want to do it all the time because it was tough to call foul balls down the line.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was fun.
So before we get to my good, bad, ugly, we had a question from Noah again. Could Alvin Rodriguez be a top 100 prospect guy? Hopefully he develops in a mid-rotation starter for the Tigers. I saw enough from the secondary that he has a decent curve ball, but I don't know. I don't really – it's too early to tell right now. I know he's off to a really good start, but I would have to see it a little more, Chris. As far as maybe like a guy that they maybe – even a September call-up, I would have to see a little bit more of a sample size, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he's off to an awesome start this year. I think he's got, 10 1/3 innings without allowing a hit in his last two starts. But yeah, the production and the stuff doesn't really match. It's kind of a low 90s fastball. I think it's got a little bit of ride through the zone, but probably not going to miss a ton of big league at bats. And the curveball is a little bit, he's learned how to manipulate it a little bit. It's a little loopy at times, but he can tighten it up and get swings and misses down low. And his changeup's okay. It's like 3 fringe average to maybe slightly above average pitches, which might work. But I would never say never, but I don't think he'll ever be a top 100 prospect. Let's get
him into the Tigers top 20. Then we'll worry about the Major League 100.
Yeah. And one of the things, he's been always been looked at as a kind of an interesting guy. But ever since the first time I saw him at West Michigan 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and he was just so slight. It was a guy that just didn't seem like he had room to get any bigger and therefore throw any harder. And I think he's still kind of the same guy. I've thought maybe you could get a middle reliever out of him at some point. But he's going to have to throw a little bit harder.
I was just saying the only difference is this curveball looks a little tighter, and that's about it to me at least. So. No, I remember when we saw him out there at West Michigan, it was like it was corner, nibble kind of thing. So speaking of the top 30, by the way, some movement did take place. Derek Hill's back in the top 30. Kyler Montero, who we did see on Sunday, looked really good. And we'll get to that 95, 96 on the gun. Chip, I think Chip had him at 94, 95. I'll have to double check, but Chip was, I'm not going to paraphrase him. Ooh, did he hit him? Ooh.
Yeah.
But he thought he looked pretty good. Out of all the pitchers actually we've seen, I thought he looked the best that we saw at West Michigan. So, so my good is simply Spencer Turnbull, and it's not even the no hitter. We've talked about the no hitter quite a bit, but something I noticed in the last 2 games: 15.1 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 16 strikeouts, 3 walks. That's important because you look at the fact that walks was something he struggled with, but throughout the season right now, he's only got, in 34 innings pitched, he's got 8 walks. And so I think that just when we saw him down the outside, just some of the stuff that was just kind of like, wow, his slider was good. And Chris, you got to give yourself a victory lap on this because you thought that Spencer Turnbull had the best stuff in the system and you were consistent with it and you pounded your fist about it. You and Brandon Day both did a Shift Team Wake article about it. So, hey, gosh darn it. Do the celebration, man.
Well, no, I mean, I don't. There's nothing really to celebrate. It's just celebrate somebody else's.
No, you got it right, man.
Celebrating his accomplishment. But I wish I had said that 5 years ago when I just thought he was a reliever like everybody else. It wasn't until we got to see him face big league hitters where you could tell that, and we talked about this a ton in our like a little inside chat, where something he was doing was keeping hitters from really doing a ton of damage against him. And we've kind of learned what it is in the last year or so. But he's a guy who's always had a ton of talent. And the question was always like, will he throw enough strikes? And he seems to be doing that this year. That's the big step forward, I think.
Yeah.
Is that his walk rate is down. He's like cut it in half basically. And so when you don't get yourself into trouble and you don't run up those high pitch counts, you can let your stuff do the talking. And it's kind of similar to what we've seen a little bit from Tarek Skubal, where he seems to, he's got the stuff to get strikeouts and get guys out, but he often, he'll work an 0-2 count and do a walk or something like that, or make it an 8-pitch at bat. And it's just like he needs to learn how to finish guys off. And so hopefully Turnbull has turned that corner, whether it's something he did or something Feder did. I thought, we talked about it before. I think he's got this in his windup now. He'll do like a little ball. He'll tap the ball in his glove.
Yeah.
When he's bringing his leg up. And I don't remember him doing that last year, but maybe he did it and it's just more pronounced now at times. But I think there's something with his timing now that he seems to have gotten under control. But no, it's super fun. He's had 4 really solid, efficient outings this year, and then 1 kind of classic Turnbull start, which, that thing happens. Not everybody can be perfect. And here's the fun dances.
Yeah.
Well, he threw 24 out of 29 first pitch strikes the other night, 19 swing and misses.
The camera just pulled away.
Yeah.
Sorry, the camera. I just saw the camera guy just pull. He's like, "Oh, we're not going to see that on there."
This guy tried to flash his big belly, but yeah, to your point, you're right. He threw a lot of first pitch strikes and a lot of swings and misses.
When he gets ahead like that, I think that's going to, if he can continue. I mean, he's not always going to be 24 for 29, but if his percentage is always going to be fairly good, I think we're going to see less of those games where he goes 3 1/3 and he was already at 94 pitches.
Yeah,
so that was really what was dragging him down back in 2019. But you can just see the difference early in counts, and he's getting ahead of people. And it's interesting that you talked about Skubal. He's always ahead 0-2, or it seems like it quite often. And to me, he's always trying to get people out with pitches that aren't in the zone. And I wish he would, to me, pick a spot in the zone where you want to be, where it's your pitch and you're getting him out in the zone, and not letting batters get back into the count by being so far out of the strike zone. I think he's got to trust. He's got a thunderbolt in that arm. Trust it.
Yeah,
throw
I think
strikes.
it's gonna get there, and I think we saw a little bit of that yesterday. But by the way, I love Yaya. Every time he's in Shinouf.
Yaya Shintoof. Yep.
Shintoof. Yes, the guy looks like he should be in the sequel to Roadhouse. So he's like that. But,
as Pain Don't Hurt guy. What's his name? Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Yeah. Oh, dude, Sam Elliott. Such a classic role for him.
Didn't you guys get Shintufa to had him at 95 when we were out there?
Yeah, he was up to 95, I believe. Yeah, that's correct. I would have to double check that with Chip and Jake, but I'm pretty sure that he was up there with that. So,
and his breaking ball is a little bit more slurvy. Sorry,
it's okay. No, yeah, he's got a lot more movement than he did before. Whereas, when we saw him in 2019, it was like just straight fastball, wasn't it?
I remember him having
like a curve, right? A little bit of a curve, right?
Yeah, I remember him having like a loopy curve was kind of his money pitch in college, but I think he's tightened it up to a little bit more horizontal movement now, and he might be throwing harder. But in any event, continue. Sorry, I forgot that we were in the middle of your good, bad, and ugly.
No, it's okay. So my bad, and you know what? This was a debate, but the ugly will make a lot more sense. It's Tony La Russa, and we talked about him a little earlier, but it was this comment that. It was this comment to Lance Lynn that kind of pissed me off a little bit. It pissed me off even more because Lance Lynn is trying to the way this is the Lance Lynn quote. Well, the way I see it for position players on the mound, there's no rules. Let's get the damn game over with. If you happen to have a problem with whatever happens, then put a pitcher out there. Can't get mad when there's a position player on the field and a guy takes a swing. And even like Trevor Bauer came out and said something, Alex Wood. But it was, La Russa said that everyone has a right to their opinion that he disagreed with Lynn, at least when the count is 3-0. Lance has a locker. I have an office, La Russa said. I'm willing to bet that there's not anyone in the clubhouse that was upset the way I mentioned that it's not the way we compete. If someone that felt that way, it is my job to correct it. You don't swing at 3-0 when you're up that big of a lead. And then he said he walked around the clubhouse. No one was given the Heisman, that the manager was animated. He's simply trying to teach a good sportsmanship to a rookie, and he didn't expect the story to last a couple of days. Dude, really? I mean, this is the same guy that when all the Mark McGwire stuff was going on, that stuff went on all the time. It's stuff that lingered and everything, and it just, I don't get it, man. The whole thing's ridiculous, and I feel bad for White Sox fans who are just trying to enjoy a good season, and they got this, this whole controversy behind it. It's just ridiculous, and good for CC Sabathia to kind of let him have it. And quite frankly, he should, because he's out of touch, and it's a new game, and people can do what they want to do. And yeah, so anyways, so that is my bad. What's up?
If it becomes more of a distraction as they go along, it's really just a big self-inflicted wound by Reinsdorf.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's just somebody that he is familiar, comfortable with. When you watch The Last Dance, I mean, Jerry Krause was a White Sox scout, and he was a guy that just, I don't know. Anyway,
I keep thinking of the Hall & Oates song.
Which one?
You're Out of Touch.
Oh,
is that Hall?
Yeah,
that's Hall & Oates, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yes. I'm going out of my mind. You're right. Okay, so my ugly is one Mr. Chris Davis. So, general manager Mike Ellis and vice president of the Orioles, Mike Elias. Is it Elias?
Elias.
Elias. Elias. What the hell's wrong with me? Elias announced that Chris
big boy.
Chris Davis underwent season-ending orthopedic surgery on a labrum in his left hip, and he is out for the year. He didn't. I don't think he played. I believe he didn't play last year either. And you talk about for everybody that bitches about the contract of Miguel Cabrera, I present to you Chris Davis, who has done nothing. Not like just you could talk about Chris. I mean, the Tigers were supposed to even apparently sign him supposed to have some long deal for Chris Davis. So for every time you complain about Miguel Cabrera, just think of Chris Davis. And I feel bad for the dude, and I understand. I mean, he did play last year. I'm sorry, he played last year. He played 16 games last year, hit 117, and that was it. He hasn't had a 250-plus season since 2013, and that's it. He had 300. I mean, that was a year he had 53 home runs. And then, of course, I'm sorry, 2015. I did say 2015. That's right. So, and his home run production just slowly went down after that. And this is the age before they just, he's done by baseball at 34 almost, it seems like. So, for every time everybody bitches about a contract about Miguel Cabrera, just go to Chris Davis and realize how much money the Orioles have to swallow up on that. And
I wonder if the story is true. If it wasn't the story that Mike Ilitch wanted Chris Davis. And
I just said that. Yeah, absolutely.
Avila talked him out of it.
Yeah. So there you
go.
Oh my goodness.
Was it Avila or was it still? When did he sign that big extension? I don't know if it was Avila or Dombrowski. I thought it was. Maybe it was Avila, and they went and got Justin Upton instead. But
I think so.
Yeah. It's kind of a Jacoby Ellsbury situation there. I think where he's just probably not going to play for the last several years of his contract, and they're going to shadow DL him, shadow IL or whatever.
Yeah, I forgot that Jacoby Ellsbury was a thing too. So, do you have any questions, Chris? I know that one Mark Gurash sent a question in.
I did not get any. I'm checking. I don't think I got any questions here. I don't. I got some comments on the snake. That's it.
Nothing. Ooh. All right. Well, no.
I got 2 likes for. I said we're live right now. If you have questions, or just join us for the live stream. So maybe they popped in and asked them.
Yeah, if you did, thank you. And I appreciate all the comments this evening. We got a lot of comments, so that to me is that's just fine. Like I said, we're gonna start taking. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What did you say?
Oh, you said you got a question for Mark though, or no?
Oh yeah, Mark. Yeah, Mark sent something in, and let's see here. Yeah, I think let me see what he exactly sent in. But for now on, if you want to send your good and bad and ugly the week beforehand, let us know. You can email us at tigersfrd@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Twitter, Rajcast Baseball, and then of course Chris Brown 0914 and Uper_IA. If you have a question or you want to give us your inside number or comment, let us know. And what the so we have Gage Workman doing good things, Linceel Perez doing very good things, and Jose de la Cruz doing nothing. Discuss. Look, Mark, I thought de la Cruz is 19 years old. He's doing the best that he can. I'm not, he's 19. I don't know what you want from me. I think he showed some ability to hit an off-speed pitch. It's going to take some time, but I think for somebody that's coming up from the GCL up to Lakeland, it's going to take a period of time. But no one's talking about Brady Porcelli being over 30 or anything like that, but coming up from another assignment. But he's not a dude though, so apparently. But look, that's my whole thing. I think De La Cruz is going to be fine. It's going to take some time. But I saw enough there where I thought that it's just going to take him a minute to adjust. So,
well, he's also coming off a year where he didn't face a pitch thrown in competitive anger. You know, those
Yeah.
none of those games counted last year. And you can say, well, they were still playing, whatever. I think we've seen some comments from scouts and from reporters that the basic level of play throughout the minors is brutal right now. And I think it's going to take some time for things to pick up as these guys get some reps in. You know, talk to me in late June, July. See where these guys are. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna. It's too late or too early to write these guys off or anything. It's just gonna. Case in point, we just did that with offensively speaking, this Tigers defense or offense is completely different. They've scored already more runs this month than they did entire month of April. So there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where baseball is a sport that is that's what I love about baseball. You can never predict. I mean, like you can never predict an outcome that's going to be any type of. I don't know. Like that's what I love about baseball. It's just nuts. I mean, 162 games, and then the minors, even that, it's a long season. It's going to take some time before we see that. Hopefully,
well, you know, it's a game of rhythms and habits.
Yeah.
And the last year has been no rhythm, no habits. you know, so it's just we got to kind of get back into the rhythm, and we're not quite there yet.
Yeah. I tried to warn people about Jose De La Cruz. You're getting too excited about him. I mean, he had some really eye-popping sort of statistics and also exit velocity numbers coming out when he was in the DSL, but he's also striking out a lot. And it's like, you know, it's kind of obvious that a guy like that is going to come up and strike out a lot. And but what made him interesting to people is still there. He's still, you can check minor league splits. I was just looking. He's tied for the 20th best average exit velocity, or 21st, I should say. 89.9 miles per hour average exit velocity this year. His top exit velo is 109.3, which ranks that also ranks top 20, I think. Yeah, 19th. So he hits the ball hard. That was the appeal to him. But
yeah,
I think I compared him a bunch of times. I compared him to now I've forgotten his name, but Wilkin Ramirez as a guy who had tools but couldn't hit. And I mean, you know, he's 19. We'll see. Give him time. Give him the whole year.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. But
yeah.
And Winslow Perez, I think you said his numbers might look good, but he's not terribly impressive in person.
No, and it's the same thing. He hits the ball in the right spots. I mean, is he going to be? Like I said, it's not the same Winfield that we saw the first two times we saw him in West Michigan. It just seems like, again, he's also adjusting to a different position. It might take some time. I thought a lot of singles. Is it double gap power? No, I don't know. Like again, it's one of those things for me as a profile, perhaps because he's adjusting to a position, but it's not the same. He can't really. It just seems like when he put together a really good series at bats, and then sometimes it's just like and I've said this about a couple of the Lakeland guys, that it's inconsistent. And Winfield will go through a stretch, and Dan Hastie's talked about this too, and I think James Chipman as well. They'll go through stretches where he hits really good and then just nothing for a long time. So lack of consistency, I still think it's there with him. But either way, the biggest thing I can take away from Winfield is that to go from short to second is going to take some time. But I think I would love to see him in high A and see what he does there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but other than that, I think that's it for the evening. I mean, the one thing I wanted to mention, Tigers start a 3-game series in Kansas City tomorrow with Urena against Mike Minor, and Saturday Matt Boyd against Singer, and Sunday Mize against Bubich. I'm gonna say this correctly.
Chris Bubich.
Chris Bubich. And there was a stat today I saw about the Royals farm system in terms of pitching. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, that I posted in the chat.
I saw it. Yeah, it's
impressive. And the Royals, again, it's something that it's simple as people talk about building your farm system, team build, as Mark would say. It's just simply having a blueprint there, and the Royals are simply executing it just like any other team should. And it's good to see. But I was just going to say, for the Tigers, though, you're seeing it firsthand, the Chris Fetter thing. That's what I wanted to end the podcast with. It's the starting rotation has been really good the last 2 weeks. I know they're playing teams like the Mariners are not good. I get it, but they're getting it done. Even and the Cubs series was a little crazy, but it's just, you see out there, the Tigers do not, offensively speaking, struggle. That's, consistent. But the starting pitching has been the reason why the Tigers right now are 3 games ahead of the Twins.
Yeah, and when you consider that, we kind of came into the year with Julio Teheran. We're like, all right, he's going to be one of the steadier guys in the rotation. He got 1 start, or a second one got pulled. And then it looked like Fulmer was going to join the rotation, and he looked good. And then he's back to the bullpen, and still they've managed to. I mean, I think they're top half, at least among starters in terms of like WAR and probably ERA, if not top third. So yeah, it's been an impressive performance by the starters this year, and it's one of the things that you kind of felt bad there when they couldn't score, and like Urania kept putting up these 7-inning 2-run games and not getting anything out of it. But yeah, it's nice to see it come around. And Casey Mize, 4 straight quality starts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. Better made.
And so on that note, is there anything else you wanted to say before we get out of here?
Well, I was going to mention the 2018. You were talking about the 2018 draft of the Royals, and I don't know how much you can count. If those 5 or 6 pitchers come through, they are going to have one heck of a pitching staff for the Tigers to deal with over the years. Now, a couple of them will probably fall backwards, but will the Tigers ever run into that one draft where they get the bonanza to put them over the top? We'll have to see.
Yeah.
By the way, Ruben Garcia's in. Yes.
Oh yeah. So you get the toilet seat. He's got a really interesting routine here. But yeah, the Royals, on top of the 2018 draft, they got Alec Marsh in 2019, who was throwing close to 100. And then last year, they got Asa Lacy, who some people thought was the best pitcher in the draft. And they got 2 more arms. They got a kid named Christian Chamberlain, I think, out of Oregon State, who was a lefty that I kind of dug. And there was one other interesting pitcher they got, and I've gone and forgotten his name, and now I have to look it up. But while I do that, if you care, go ahead and enjoy Ruben Garcia's wind-up and fun.
I got a little tidbit. Asa Lacy might be having a little Steve Blass issue. He's got some nasty walk numbers, and he cannot find the strike zone lately. So let's see what happens there. Not that I'm not rooting against the kid because he's a kid, but that can be hard to overcome.
When he was, leading up to the draft, I kind of made a comparison to Carlos Rodon a little bit as a guy who he's got good stuff, but yeah, sometimes he seems to lose the zone. So that would be an example of that. Hopefully he gets that figured out because that's a good arm. I'm trying to think. All right, who is the other pitcher they got last year? Will Klein. Will Klein was a Eastern Illinois big hard throwing guy.
I'm so by the way, we'll put this,
look at that. Look at that go.
Here it goes. We'll put this YouTube link on the podcast tomorrow to go watch Ruben Garcia just where's the fist? Where's the hand? There he goes. No, I thought he was gonna do this, like the
so he gets the toilet seat. If you could find Chip's tweet about it, it's hilarious. Yeah. There you go. That's the grandfather clock. And then
there's a pop-up
The best
thing.
part is at a youth game, if anybody is winding up like that, like 46 people would be yelling for a balk.
Yeah.
They don't know what a balk is, but they'd be yelling for one.
Yeah. No, but he was a Rule 5 pick from the Orioles, minor league Rule 5 pick from a couple of years ago, the Orioles system. He's throwing, I think it was throwing 93, 94. But I love his windup. It was something that Chip was talking about, and I had no idea that Chip was making. He was like, all right, guys, watch. He went out of his way. It's almost like watching a duck in the blind. If you're going hunting, he's like, hey, look at Garcia. Shout out to Chip on that. It was pretty funny the way he set that up. But so if you wanted to go to our YouTube page, go to Tiger Minor League Report and check that out. And we'll be posting that along with the podcast tomorrow. And of course, the Minor League Report on Twitter, Tigers ML Report. Every night, Chris and I team up to put out the minor league recap, which will be out in the morning as well. We're putting that up. The Home Run Fest. To see that, his windup is distracting. And so much more. And go to our patreon.com/Tigers SRD. We had the bonus content with the Dingler is a dude. And hopefully I'm trying to coordinate this better. I admit last week, my schedule, I was burned out completely by Sunday. I got sick and I did the minor league podcast a little bit, just preamped up. So next time going forward, I have a whole planner. I got to get that done. But anyway, thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. And hopefully the Tigers continue their winning ways and give us some more entertaining baseball. So that way we're not such negative assholes. Until then, see you next time.
That's